The Galactic Council's emergency session descended into chaos as Admiral Krell slammed his fist on the gleaming obsidian table. "These humans are a plague. We must contain them before it's too late." His voice boomed across the chamber, silencing the murmurs from the gathered representatives of 17 interstellar civilizations. General Voss, commander of the Arcturus fleet, activated a holographic display. The human vessel Defiance destroyed 3 of our warships before disappearing into uncharted space. Just 3 humans aboard. 3. His voice trembled with barely contained fury and fear. Ambassador Lyra of the Cygnus Harmony rose slowly, her luminescent skin pulsing with concern. "We have studied humans for decades. Their physical form is unimpressive. A Class 3 endurance species, moderately intelligent and technologically young. Yet they consistently defeat our most sophisticated defense systems." "It's their minds," said Director Morrow of Xenobiology. "Their evolution diverged from logical patterns. They think in ways that our predictive algorithms cannot comprehend." The holographic display shifted to show footage from various human confrontations. A lone human pilot outmaneuvering a squadron of automated fighters. A human scientist bypassing security protocols that had been impenetrable for centuries. A human diplomat negotiating terms that somehow benefited Earth, despite overwhelming disadvantages. "They were shaped by an exceptionally violent home planet," continued Morrow. "While we evolved in environments that rewarded cooperation and logic, Earth rewarded those who could outsmart predators and competitors. Humans don't just solve problems, they exploit problems." Admiral Krell's facial ridges darkened. "The humans call it thinking outside the box. We have no concept for this because we never created boxes for our thinking." "What of the quarantine proposal?" asked Ambassador Thrix of the Rigelian Compact. Fleet Commander Dax stepped forward. "Failed. We established a blockade around their solar system 50 years ago. They not only breached it, but they used our own containment technology to develop their faster-than-light drives." Silence fell across the chamber. "There's something else," said Lyra hesitantly. "Something that makes them truly dangerous." She nodded to her aide, who adjusted the display to show medical scans. "Humans are adaptable in ways that defy evolutionary norms. Their bodies can withstand radiation levels that would kill most species. They can survive in atmospheric conditions that range from oxygen-rich to nearly toxic. And their psychological resilience," she trailed off. "What about it?" demanded Krell. "They thrive on adversity," answered Morrow. "While most species become less effective under stress, humans often become more creative, more determined, and more dangerous. The more we push them, the stronger they become." The images shifted to show a human colony on a barren moon, where inhabitants had adapted to conditions deemed uninhabitable by Council standards. "We've intercepted their communications," said Intelligence Director Vax. "They have a concept they call spite. They will endure tremendous suffering simply to prove another wrong." Krell shook his head in disbelief. "What kind of evolutionary advantage is that?" "On Earth," answered Morrow, "sometimes the only advantage was outlasting your enemy." Ambassador Lyra's skin had darkened to a deep blue. "We have 2 options. Complete eradication, which our ethics forbid, or acceptance." "There is a third option," said a quiet voice from the back of the chamber. The council members turned as one to face Admiral Jorex, who had fought the humans in the Battle of Orion and lived. His eyes were haunted. "We can learn from them," he said simply. "Before they learn everything from us." Captain Tom Reed of the human scout ship Wayfinder studied the alien vessel through his viewscreen. The massive Galactic Council warship hung in space like a polished dagger, its crystalline hull refracting starlight in mesmerizing patterns. "They're scanning us again," reported Lisa, his communications officer. "Different frequency this time." Tom nodded. "Let them look. We've got nothing to hide." He turned to his chief engineer. "Mark, how's our little surprise coming along?" Mark glanced up from his console with a grin. "Almost ready. They won't know what hit them." The Wayfinder was small by Council standards, barely 100 meters, long with a crew of just 23. But it carried Earth's most advanced technology, much of it reverse-engineered from encounters with alien civilizations that had underestimated humanity one too many times. "Incoming transmission," Lisa announced. The view screen flickered to display the aristocratic features of a Cygnus officer, skin luminescent against the dark background of the command center. Human vessel. You have violated Council Directive 7293. This system is restricted. Power down your engines and prepare to be boarded. Tom leaned forward. This is Captain Reed of Earth. We're on a peaceful mission of exploration. Your star charts show this system as unclaimed territory. The alien's skin pulsed with what Tom recognized as annoyance. The charts were updated recently. You will comply or face consequences. The transmission ended abruptly. They're powering up weapons, reported Jen from Tactical. Her fingers danced across her console. Targeting systems active. Tom remained calm. Status of our shields? Holding at full capacity, Mark replied. But they outgun us 10-1. Tom nodded thoughtfully. Numbers aren't everything. Activate Project Mirage. Mark's fingers flew across his console. Ready in 3, 2, 1. Mirage active. Outside, the space around the Wayfinder seemed to ripple. The small human vessel appeared to split into 3 identical ships, each moving in a different direction. They're confused, Jen reported, with satisfaction. Their targeting systems are trying to lock onto all 3 signatures. The Council warship fired, brilliant beams of energy slicing through empty space where one of the Phantom ships had been. They'll figure it out soon, Tom said. Lisa, open a channel. When the Cygnus officer appeared again, his skin was pulsing rapidly with anger and confusion. What trickery is this? He demanded. Tom smiled pleasantly. Just a little human ingenuity. We call it holographic displacement. Your sensors see 3 ships because that's what we want them to see. The alien's eyes narrowed. Why tell us this? Because I'm also telling you that we've identified the frequency harmonics of your shield generators. One well-placed shot from our main cannon will collapse your forward shields. We may be smaller, but we're not defenseless. The alien commander's skin darkened to deep blue, a sign of alarm. You're bluffing. Maybe, Tom replied with a shrug. But here's something to consider. Humans have a long history of appearing weak until the perfect moment to strike. It's a strategy that served us well. Silence stretched between them. We have no interest in conflict, Tom continued, but we will defend ourselves, or... He paused meaningfully. We could discuss why this previously unclaimed system is suddenly so important to the Council. The Cygnus commander studied Tom for a long moment. Stand by, he said finally, cutting the transmission. Are they withdrawing? Lisa asked. Tom shook his head. No. They're reassessing. Humans always surprise them, and they hate surprises. Mark looked up from his console. Captain, I'm detecting unusual energy readings from the 4th planet. That might be what they're protecting. Tom nodded thoughtfully. And that's why we're here. Humanity's curiosity. The trait that terrifies the Council most. They're hailing us again, Lisa reported. Tom straightened in his chair. Let's see what compromise they're ready to offer. Because they know we're not leaving. High Commander. Vax paced the length of the Council's strategic command center, his clawed hands clasped behind his back. The curved walls displayed real-time feeds from 17 sectors of contested space where human expansion had accelerated beyond all projected models. They're everywhere, he growled, like a virus adapting to every countermeasure. Strategic. Analyst Thren manipulated the holographic display. The humans have established outposts in 12 previously uninhabitable systems. They're using technology that combines Council designs with innovations we don't understand. Show me the Proxima sector, Vax commanded. The display shifted to show a desolate planet orbiting a red dwarf star. The surface was scarred by radiation and extreme temperature fluctuations, yet there, nestled in a deep canyon, was a domed human settlement. How are they surviving there? Vax demanded. Our environmental models classified that planet as Class 9 uninhabitable. Thren looked uncomfortable. They adapted. Their scientists developed a radiation-resistant algae that grows in the canyon walls. They've modified it to absorb the radiation and convert it to oxygen and nutrients. Impossible, whispered Vax. That level of bioengineering would take centuries. They did it in 7 years, Thren replied. And the algae is spreading naturally. Now, They're not just surviving on that world. They're terraforming it. Vax collapsed into his command chair. They turn our obstacles into opportunities. It's unnatural. The door to the command center hissed open, admitting Dr. Alara, the Council's chief xenopsychologist. Her face was grave. "You need to see this," she said without preamble, transmitting data to the main display. The screen filled with images of human children in what appeared to be educational facilities. They were gathered around tables, building structures with simple blocks and components. "What am I looking at?" Vax asked irritably. "Their training protocols," Alara replied. "This is how they teach their young. They call these games, but they're actually sophisticated problem-solving exercises. Watch." The footage showed a human instructor removing key structural components from the children's projects without warning. Rather than becoming distressed, the children immediately began seeking alternative solutions, repurposing other materials or redesigning their structures entirely. "They're being conditioned to view obstacles as challenges," Alara explained, "to see limitations as temporary. In Council species, we teach our young to respect boundaries and follow established protocols. Humans teach theirs to break rules and find workarounds." Vax watched in growing horror. "From infancy? From the moment they can grasp objects," Alara confirmed. "And it gets worse. They have recreational activities called puzzles and riddles that serve no purpose except to train their minds to solve problems in unconventional ways." Analyst Thren looked up from his console. "Commander, I've been analyzing their entertainment media. They have thousands of stories about individuals who succeed by breaking rules and defying authority. These are their cultural heroes." Vax's expression darkened. "No wonder they're uncontrollable. Their entire civilization is built on glorifying deviance." "It's more than that," said Alara softly. "Their psychology is fundamentally different. For most species, stability and predictability are comforting. Humans find them boring. They crave novelty and challenge to an extent that would drive most sentient beings to madness. And this is the species now spreading throughout the galaxy," Vax said grimly, "carrying their chaos with them." Thren hesitated before speaking again. "There's another report, Commander. The human outpost in the Cygnus Arm has developed a new form of FTL communication. They're sharing the technology freely with neighboring systems." "Why would they do that?" Vax demanded. "Such technology would be invaluable." "They claim it's a gesture of goodwill," Thren replied. "But our analysts believe they're building alliances. Species that were once loyal to the Council are now trading openly with humans." Vax stared at the display, watching as more human outposts appeared across the galactic map like a spreading constellation. "We wanted to contain them," he said quietly. "But perhaps it's already too late." Dr. Alan West stepped through the airlock into the alien research facility, his environmental suit giving off a soft blue glow in the dimly lit chamber. Behind him, his three-person team moved with practiced efficiency, setting up equipment and scanning the surroundings. "Remember," Alan said over the team's comm channel, "we're guests here. The Valerians agreed to this joint research venture after 10 years of negotiation. Let's not blow it." The facility on Valeria Prime was a marvel of biotechnology. The walls themselves were living tissue, pulsing gently with bioluminescent light. The Valerians were masters of organic technology, having evolved on a world where traditional metallurgy was impossible due to unique magnetic properties in the planet's crust. "I'm getting atmospheric readings," reported Mike, their environmental specialist. "We can remove our helmets in about 20 minutes, once the chamber fully adapts to human physiology." "Fascinating," Alan murmured, studying the way the walls seemed to ripple in response to their presence. "The entire structure is responding to us. It's reconfiguring air composition in real time." A door that was indistinguishable from the surrounding wall suddenly formed, parting to reveal their Valerian host. The alien was tall and willowy, with iridescent skin that shifted between deep blue and green. 4 eyes arranged in a diamond. Pattern regarded the humans with unblinking curiosity. "Welcome to Collaboration Chamber 6, the Valerian said, its voice a melodious hum translated by the devices attached to the human suits. "I am Senior Researcher Zal. Your journey was comfortable?" Alan stepped forward. "Very much so, thank you. I'm Dr. Alan West, and this is my team. Dr. Mike Chen, Environmental Adaptation. Dr. Raj Patel, Xenobiology. and Dr. Emma Rodriguez, Communication Systems. Zal's skin rippled, and what the humans had learned was a gesture of acknowledgement. The council observers will arrive shortly. They are anxious about our collaboration. Alan nodded. The Galactic Council had opposed this research partnership from the beginning, citing concerns about sharing advanced biotechnology with humans. We understand their caution, Alan said diplomatically. But we believe that combining Valerian organic tech with human adaptive engineering could benefit both our species. Zal's upper eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of agreement. Your proposal to develop self-healing habitats for extreme environments has merit. My people have never considered applying our living architecture to space habitation. That's the advantage of fresh perspectives, Emma said. Humans specialize in finding new applications for existing technologies. The wall rippled again, and 3 council representatives entered. Their expressions were guarded, their body language stiff. The atmosphere has stabilized, Mike announced. We can remove our helmets now. As the humans removed their protective headgear, the council representatives visibly tensed. One of them, a reptilian humanoid with scaled skin, addressed Zal directly. Senior researcher, we must once again express our concerns about this collaboration. Humans have a documented history of weaponizing peaceful technologies. Before Zal could respond, Alan stepped forward. With respect, Ambassador, so does every spacefaring civilization. The difference is that humans acknowledge our capacity for both creation and destruction. We don't pretend to be beyond such impulses. We consciously choose to channel them constructively. The ambassador's scales darkened. And yet your history is filled with violence. Yes, Alan agreed calmly. Which is why we understand its cost better than most. We've learned from our mistakes. Zal interjected, skin pulsing with what the humans recognized as determination. The decision has been made. The collaboration proceeds as planned. The council may observe, but not interfere. The representatives exchanged glances but did not object further. As the formal introductions continued, Emma moved closer to Alan. They're terrified of us, she whispered. Not just cautious, actually afraid. Alan nodded slightly. They've never understood us. To them, our adaptability looks like unpredictability. Our creativity seems like chaos. And our persistence? Emma asked with a small smile. That scares them most of all, Alan replied. Because they know that once humans set our minds to something, we don't stop until we succeed, Emma finished. In the center of the chamber, a holographic display activated, showing the preliminary designs for their joint project. Living habitats that could withstand the harshest environments in the galaxy, adapting to protect their inhabitants. Shall we begin? Zal asked. Alan stepped forward, aware of the council representatives watching his every move. We're ready when you are. Admiral James Miller stood on the bridge of the Earth Defense Force, flagship Sentinel, watching the tactical display with growing concern. The alien armada had emerged from hyperspace just beyond Mars' orbit. 27 vessels of various sizes, all bearing the insignia of the Galactic Council's Enforcement Division. They're hailing us, sir, reported his communications officer. James straightened his uniform. On screen, the view screen flickered to life, revealing the stern features of Admiral Krell, Supreme Commander of the Council's military forces. His gray skin was lined with age, eyes narrowed with suspicion. Admiral Miller, Krell began without preamble. The Council has evidence that your species has violated the Technology Containment Treaty by developing forbidden weapons systems. James kept his expression neutral. Those are serious accusations, Admiral. What evidence do you have? We detected quantum signature anomalies consistent with dimensional tearing technologies originating from your research facility on Europa. Such technology is classified as Category 1 prohibited. Behind James, his officers exchanged concerned glances. The Europa facility was Earth's most secret research installation. I'm not at liberty to discuss specific research projects, James replied carefully. But I assure you, Earth is committed to the treaty. Krell's expression hardened. You will allow a council inspection team to examine the Europa facility immediately, or we will consider it an act of war. The transmission ended abruptly. Options? James asked, turning to his senior staff. His tactical officer, Commander Huang, stepped forward. Their fleet outguns us 3-1. If they attack, even with our defensive grid, Earth would sustain heavy casualties. And if we allow the inspection? James asked. Dr. Reyes, the science advisor, shook her head. The Project Phoenix research isn't weapons development, it's a breakthrough in clean energy production. But the technology operates on principles the Council doesn't understand. They'll misinterpret it as a weapon. James paced the bridge, considering their predicament. So we're damned if we do, damned if we don't. There might be a third option, suggested Commander Garcia, his intelligence officer. A demonstration. James raised an eyebrow. Explain. The Council fears what they don't understand. If we show them exactly what Phoenix does, under controlled conditions, they might recognize it's not a weapon. And if they don't? Asked Huang. Garcia smiled grimly. Then at least we'll have their fleet exactly where we want them. James considered the plan. It was risky, but the alternatives were worse. Commander Huang, deploy our fleet in defensive formation around Earth. Dr. Reyes, contact the Europa facility. Tell them to prepare for a controlled demonstration of Phoenix. He turned to his communications officer. Hail Admiral Krell. When Krell's face appeared on screen again, James spoke with quiet confidence. Admiral, I propose a compromise. Instead of an inspection team, you personally will witness a demonstration of our research. Then, you can judge for yourself whether it violates the treaty. Krell's eyes narrowed. This could be a trap. It could, James acknowledged. Just as your inspection could be a pretext for sabotage. Trust works both ways, Admiral. After a long moment, Krell nodded. Very well. I will shuttle to your vessel, with a small security team. 3 hours later, James stood in the Sentinel's observation deck with Krell and his Council security detail, watching as a small probe was launched toward a designated area of empty space. The Phoenix Project, James explained, uses quantum resonance to draw energy directly from subspace. It's not a weapon. It's a power source that could eliminate resource scarcity across the galaxy. Krell watched skeptically. The Council has determined such technology cannot be controlled safely. Perhaps the Council's understanding is incomplete, James suggested. The probe reached its destination and activated. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then a small point of light appeared, growing into a shimmering vortex of energy. Quantum readings stable, reported Dr. Reyes over the comm. Energy harvesting at 20% capacity. The vortex pulsed, releasing waves of energy that the probe collected and channeled. Remarkable, murmured one of Krell's scientists, forgetting protocol. The dimensional boundary remains intact while energy transfers through. Krell silenced him with a glare. This changes nothing. Such technology could easily be weaponized. James turned to face the alien admiral. Any technology can be weaponized, Admiral. What matters is intent. We're offering to share this discovery with the Council, with appropriate safeguards. Share? Krell seemed genuinely surprised. Why would you do this? Because energy shortages affect everyone, James replied simply. Human history is filled with conflicts over resources. We've learned that scarcity breeds violence. Abundance breeds peace. Krell studied James for a long moment. You continue to confound our expectations, Admiral Miller. That's what humans do best, James replied with a slight smile. We hope you'll come to see it as a strength rather than a threat. The meeting chamber of the Galactic Council fell silent as the massive doors parted to admit the human delegation. Ambassador Jack Wilson strode confidently into the center of the circular chamber, flanked by his diplomatic team. 5 humans who showed no sign of intimidation despite being surrounded by representatives of 17 advanced alien civilizations. Jack glanced around the tiered seating that rose steeply on all sides, noting the subtle reactions of the assembled dignitaries. Some leaned forward with open curiosity. Others drew back slightly, as if proximity to humans made them uncomfortable. Ambassador Wilson, intoned the Council Arbiter, a being of pure energy contained within a crystalline form. You have requested this extraordinary session to address recent incidents in the Orion Spur. The floor is yours. Jack nodded respectfully. Thank you, Arbiter. Distinguished members of the Council, I come before you today because we stand at a crossroads. The recent military confrontations between Council forces and human outposts must not continue. He activated a holographic display in the center of the chamber, showing footage of Council warships firing on a small human research station. The station's defenses had held, but barely. This was the third such incident in as many months, Jack continued. Each time, Council forces have claimed they were conducting exercises or responding to provocations. Each time, humans have shown restraint. Restraint? The representative from the Arcturus hegemony rose to his feet, purple membranes fluttering in agitation. Your species has expanded into 13 new systems in the past year alone. You ignore established protocols and exploit regulatory loopholes. Jack maintained his composure. We settle only unclaimed worlds, as permitted by the Expansion Treaty. If our rate of colonization seems alarming, perhaps that says more about the Council's expectations than our actions. Murmurs spread through the chamber. The human was being tactful but firm, refusing to be intimidated while avoiding direct confrontation. "The issue," said the Cygnus ambassador, her luminescent skin pulsing with subtle patterns, "is not merely where you settle, but how you change the established order. Your approaches to technology, diplomacy, and even biology are disruptive." Jack smiled slightly. "Change is the only constant in the universe. Humans have learned to embrace it rather than fear it. We invite the Council to do the same." The Rigelian representative made a sound of derision. "Your species has existed as a spacefaring civilization for barely a century. The Council has maintained galactic stability for 50 millennia. Your invitation borders on impertinence." Jack nodded thoughtfully. "I understand your perspective. Stability is valuable. But stagnation disguised as stability leads to collapse. The Council has achieved remarkable things, but your civilization has also plateaued. No major technological breakthrough in 3,000 years. No new member species admitted in 2000. The chamber erupted in outraged voices. The Arbiter raised a crystalline appendage, restoring order. "You walk a dangerous line, Ambassador," the Arbiter warned. "I speak only the truth," Jack replied calmly. "And here is another truth. Humans are not going away. We will continue to explore, to innovate, and to forge relationships with any species willing to work with us as equals. The Council can choose to see us as a threat or as an opportunity. The decision is yours." He raised his hand to forestall interruptions. "But before you decide, I have a proposal." The holographic display shifted to show schematics for a revolutionary propulsion system. "This is the Norton Drive," Jack explained. "Developed by human scientists working in collaboration with Rigelian engineers and Cygnus theorists. It's 40% more efficient than current Council technology and produces 0 harmful emissions. We're prepared to share this technology freely with all Council races." A stunned silence fell over the chamber. "In exchange for what?" asked the Arcturus representative suspiciously. "Recognition," Jack answered simply. "Formal acknowledgement of humanity as a full Council member with all associated rights and responsibilities." The silence deepened. "This is unprecedented," said the Arbiter finally. "No species has ever bypassed the standard ascension process. No species has ever developed shield technology that can prevent an ambassador from speaking," Jack responded, calmly. "True." The Arbiter's crystalline form shimmered with what might have been amusement. "You continue to surprise us, Ambassador Wilson." "That's what humans do," Jack replied with a slight smile. "We surprise everyone, including ourselves sometimes." He gestured to a member of his team, who brought forward an ornate container. Jack opened it to reveal a small sapling growing in a self-contained environment. "This is another gift. A genetically modified earth oak that can grow on any world with minimal sunlight and water. It produces fruit that is compatible with the digestive systems of 90% of known sentient species and filters environmental toxins from soil and air." The Cygnus ambassador leaned forward, her scientific curiosity overcoming her reserve. "How did you achieve cross-species digestibility?" "By studying the commonalities in amino acid processing across multiple species," Jack explained. "Our diversity forces us to look for patterns where others see only differences." He closed the container gently. "The tree is called the Harmony Oak. We've already begun planting them on border worlds as a gesture of goodwill." The Arbiter's crystalline form pulsed with energy as it communicated silently with the other Council members. "Your proposal will be considered, Ambassador," the Arbiter said finally. "But be warned, if accepted, Humanity will be bound by all Council laws and protocols. No exceptions. Jack smiled broadly. We wouldn't have it any other way? Humans don't fear rules, Arbiter. We simply believe that rules should evolve as circumstances change. As the human delegation withdrew, the council chamber filled with the buzz of conversation. For the first time in millennia, the established order faced not just a challenge, but a choice. Adapt to the human presence, or risk becoming obsolete. Grand Admiral Krell stood on the observation deck of the Celestial Arbiter, the most powerful warship ever constructed by the Galactic Council. Around him, the combined fleets of 17 civilizations formed a defensive perimeter that stretched across the entire star system. Over 10,000 ships, from massive dreadnoughts to nimble fighters, all united against a common threat. Status report, Krell demanded, his voice betraying no emotion despite the gravity of the situation. Fleet Commander Voss stepped forward. The Harvester fleet has breached the outer defensive line. They've already consumed 3 uninhabited planets in the neighboring system. Estimated time to arrival, 6 hours. Krell nodded grimly. The Harvesters were unlike anything the Council had encountered in 50,000 years of galactic history. A machine intelligence that consumed entire worlds, breaking them down into raw materials to build more of themselves. They had appeared from the galactic void 3 months ago, and had already destroyed 7 star systems. What of the humans? Krell asked, unable to keep a note of bitterness from his voice. Their fleet is in position at Sector 7, Voss replied. 200 ships as promised. Krell made a dismissive gesture. A token force. They claim to be our allies, yet commit barely a fraction of their military strength. The doors to the observation deck slid open, admitting Ambassador Jack Wilson and Admiral James Miller of the Earth Defense Force. They approached with confident strides, seemingly unaffected by the tension that permeated the command center. Admiral Krell, Jack greeted him with a respectful nod. We've come to discuss final preparations. Krell turned to face them. There is little to discuss, Ambassador. Your contribution to the defense is noted. James Miller stepped forward, his expression serious. You misunderstand our intentions, Admiral. Our ships aren't here as part of your defensive line. Then what purpose do they serve? Krell demanded. Delivery, Miller replied simply. Before Krell could respond, a junior officer rushed onto the deck. Admiral, new contacts detected at the edge of the system. They're human vessels. The main display activated, showing a stream of ships emerging from hyperspace. Hundreds, then thousands of them. What is the meaning of this? Krell demanded, turning to the humans. Jack smiled. You said we brought only a token force. That was never our intention. The display showed the new human fleet moving into position, not in a defensive formation, but in an aggressive spearhead aimed directly at the approaching Harvester armada. 15,000 ships, James explained. The combined strength of Earth and our 11 allied systems. Krell's eyes widened in disbelief. 11 allied systems? The Council recognized only Earth. We've been busy, Jack replied with a slight shrug. While the Council debated protocols and procedures, we built partnerships. The display zoomed in on the human vessels, revealing designs that Krell had never seen before. Sleek, asymmetrical ships that seemed to flicker in and out of normal space. What are those? He asked despite himself. Phase shift technology, James explained. Our ships can partially exist in subspace, making them difficult to target and allowing them to bypass conventional shields. Krell's expression darkened. Such technology violates Council restrictions. The restrictions that have left you defenseless against the Harvesters? Jack countered. Sometimes rules must be broken to preserve the greater good. A communications officer interrupted. Admiral, we're receiving a transmission from the human flagship. The main display changed to show the bridge of a human vessel. A woman in an admiral's uniform addressed them. This is Admiral Emma Rodriguez, of the Allied Earth Fleet. We are commencing Operation Hammerfall. All Council vessels are advised to maintain position and prepare to engage any Harvesters that break through our lines. The transmission ended. Operation Hammerfall? Krell echoed. A direct assault on the Harvester command node, James explained. While you prepared for a defensive last stand, we developed a strategy to end this threat completely. Krell stared at the tactical display in disbelief as the human fleet accelerated toward the approaching enemy. This is madness. The harvesters outnumber you 3-1. Jack's expression was resolute. Numbers aren't everything, Admiral. Humans have faced worse odds throughout our history. We've learned that victory doesn't always go to the largest force, but to the most adaptable one. On the display, the human fleet split into 3 distinct battle groups, executing a complex maneuver that seemed to confuse the harvester forces. Where the Council fleets had maintained rigid, predictable formations, the humans moved with a fluid unpredictability that defied conventional tactics. They've identified the harvester command structure, James observed, watching as the human ships targeted specific enemy vessels with surgical precision. Krell watched in silent amazement as the battle unfolded. The human ships darted in and out of phase, striking with devastating accuracy before vanishing again. Harvesters exploded in cascading chains as some new weapon tore through their supposedly impenetrable shields. Incredible, whispered Voss, forgetting protocol in his astonishment. No, replied Krell quietly. Human. As the battle raged, Jack turned to Krell. We didn't come here to supplant the Council, Admiral. We came to save it, and ourselves. Perhaps now you understand what humans truly are. And what is that? Krell asked, unable to tear his eyes from the spectacular devastation being wrought upon an enemy he had believed invincible. Jack's answer was simple. Deadly by design, but builders by choice. We master chaos not because we love violence, but because we value peace enough to fight for it. We break rules not out of disrespect, but because we see beyond them to something better. He gestured toward the display. This is humanity's gift to the galaxy. Not just our technology or our strength, but our perspective. As the harvester fleet began to disintegrate under the human onslaught, Krell realized that the galaxy had changed forever. The Council would never be the same, but perhaps that was precisely what it needed. Your species, Krell admitted reluctantly, continues to surprise us. Jack smiled. We surprise ourselves sometimes too. That's what makes us human. In the days that followed, as the last of the harvester forces were systematically eliminated, representatives from across the galaxy gathered on the Council's capital world. The great chamber that had hosted debates for millennia was filled beyond capacity as species both Council-aligned and independent came to witness history. The Arbiter's crystalline form glowed with unusual intensity as it addressed the assembly. For 50,000 years, the Galactic Council has maintained order through stability and predictability. We believed these were the highest virtues of advanced civilization. The chamber was silent, every being present understanding the gravity of the moment. We were wrong, the Arbiter continued. In our quest for perfect order, we sacrificed growth and adaptation. We became rigid when we should have remained flexible. Ambassador Jack Wilson stood at the center of the chamber, flanked by representatives from Earth's allied worlds. Though they presented a united front, each species was visibly distinct. Evidence of humanity's willingness to embrace differences rather than enforce conformity. The human species, the Arbiter acknowledged, has demonstrated qualities that the Council had forgotten. Creativity in crisis, strength in diversity, and perhaps most importantly, the courage to evolve. Without these qualities, we would now be facing extinction. Jack stepped forward. Arbiter, members of the Council, we stand ready to join your community not as supplicants but as partners. Humanity brings more than our technology or our military strength. We bring a perspective shaped by our unique evolutionary path. We see possibilities where others see limitations. The Arbiter's form pulsed in what those familiar with its species recognized as agreement. The Council has voted unanimously to offer humanity full membership with all rights and privileges. Furthermore, all species allied with Earth will be granted observer status with expedited paths to membership. A murmur of approval spread through the chamber. There is one additional matter, the Arbiter continued. In recognition of the extraordinary circumstances we face, the Council has created a new position, Director of Innovation and Adaptation. We ask that humanity provide the first individual to hold this office. Jack bowed respectfully. We would be honored. As the formal proceedings continued, Admiral Krell approached Jack at the edge of the chamber. I spent decades fearing what humans would bring to our galaxy, Krell admitted quietly. I never imagined it would be salvation. Jack smiled. Fear of the unknown is natural, Admiral. What matters is learning to move beyond it. And now, Krell asked, what will humanity do with its influence? Jack gazed out at the assembled representatives of 100 worlds, each with their own history, biology, and perspective. We'll do what humans have always done, he replied. Explore, learn, build, and most importantly, adapt. Because the galaxy is vast, and tomorrow's challenges will make the harvesters look like a minor inconvenience. Krell's expression showed a new emotion, respect. Then the galaxy is fortunate to have you as allies rather than enemies. We were never your enemy, Admiral, Jack said with quiet conviction. We were simply waiting for you to recognize us as friends. Outside the council chamber, on worlds across the galaxy, citizens of countless species watched the proceedings via holographic broadcast. Many had feared humans since their arrival on the galactic stage, their unpredictability, their rapid advancement, their disregard for convention. Now they saw humans differently, as protectors, as innovators, as the spark that had awakened a complacent galaxy to new possibilities. On Earth, crowds gathered in cities around the planet, celebrating not conquest, but connection. The path forward would not be simple. Integrating human dynamism with council stability would require patience and compromise from all sides. But for the first time in history, humanity had found its place in the cosmos. Not by conquering or dominating, but by being precisely what evolution had shaped them to be. Adaptable, resourceful, and unwilling to accept limitations. Deadly, by design perhaps, but defined by their choices rather than their capabilities. In the observation lounge overlooking the council chamber, Dr. Alan West stood beside his Valerian colleague, senior researcher Zal, watching as the new era was formalized. Your species has achieved in decades what others could not accomplish. In millennia, Zal observed, skin rippling with colors that indicated profound admiration. Alan smiled. We had good teachers, our own history. We learned from our mistakes. The council feared you would bring chaos, Zal said. Instead, you brought transformation. That's the paradox of humanity, Alan replied. We are chaos and order intertwined. Deadly by design, yes, but creative by choice. He gazed out at the assembled representatives of a united galaxy. And together, there's nothing we can't accomplish.